Good morning, everyone. This is Karl F. Rose recording from Bedford, Pennsylvania on Saturday, March 5th, 2022. And I want to talk a little bit today about some crazy statements made by members of Congress. But before that, let me get into my music. Okay. Good morning. This is Karl F. Rose recording from Bedford, Pennsylvania on Saturday, March 5th, 2022. And originally, this podcast was going to be only about Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, and I thought she said some awful things. But just when you thought that things could get worse, then Senator Lindsay Graham comes off and says something even worse. And I got to tell you, these two people, one's a Democrat, one's a Republican. I really don't care what their party is, but they need to be removed. They need to be voted out of office, removed from their positions. What's happened in the last week is completely unacceptable. Let's start with Pelosi. What the podcast was originally going to be about, but we'll get into the bigger one, the one even worse. Graham needs to go. But early in the week, Pelosi, as usual, I think she maybe had too much vodka that day or something, but she's going off, and she's just absolutely insulting President Vladimir Putin. She was basically describing Joe Biden, but she was labeling, putting all those labels on President Putin. And basically she was saying that Putin is maybe he's brain dead, or maybe he's got brain fog, or maybe he has brain cancer. But she was basically calling him crazy and nuts. You don't... If Trump, if number 45 were still in charge, she would have still said the same thing. First of all, we wouldn't even be in this mess in the first place. 45 was still around, but supposing it did happen, even with 45 in office, I can rest assured Speaker Pelosi would have gotten a phone call and some very harsh words directed at her from 45, because you just don't go around insulting, especially world leaders, especially when they have an arsenal of nuclear weapons. He was publicly, I think he was laughing, but you've got to understand, since 2016, the United States has been doing nothing but poking and prodding and sticking their finger in the eye of the Russian bear, and it's going to come back to bite us. If this kind of action isn't stopped, and I mean stopped immediately, the United States is going to see themselves hit with nuclear weapons. And it just seems like everything is getting worse, not by the day, not by the hour, but every second. Every second that goes along, a member of Congress is doing something stupid to just antagonize and irritate President Putin. You got to give the man credit. I mean, I'm not going to defend Putin in any way, shape, or form. I mean, he's a dictator. He's brutal. But nobody, and not even Putin, deserves to have these unfair attacks and insults made on it. And there'll come a time when he's had enough. And I'll tell you, he has a lot more patience than I do. That's why I give him credit. But I don't. I'm on the Ukraine thing, and I really don't even want to go into there. I'm just talking about the stupid comments made by Congress. But as far as the Ukraine thing, I'm 50-50 on that. There's so much. There's a lot of, and I'm going to probably sound like Putin, but there's a lot of bad information going out on there. It's really hard to decide what's coming out, what's right, and what's coming out with what's wrong. But the biggest thing is there are attacks going on, and that's on Putin's watch. And if he is really hitting civilian targets, then that's not good. But there's all other kinds. That's for a whole new podcast. Now let's get into the worst one even. Senator Graham. He needs to be primaried out, and he needs to, when he's up. I think he's going to be up. One of the ones that's up in the midterms, and he's got to go. So basically, he said, the headlines say that he said to assassinate, suggested to assassinate President Putin. Those weren't his exact words. After looking at some clips, he was on an interview, and he was saying, he says, well, maybe it's time we take him out. Those were his exact words, take him out. So, we all know what take him out means. So, and that's just, that's far worse than what Pelosi said, and that's completely unacceptable. He's getting it. He's actually, Lindsay Graham is getting it from, rightfully so, from the Democrats. They're up in arms over that, and but even some Republicans are going against Graham, and personally, I think his statements are far worse than Speaker Pelosi. I mean, maybe they both were drinking that day or something, or whatever. Who knows? But the actions and the statements of this Congress is from all parties, all directions. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what side, but there's been mistakes all over the place. And sometimes I think it's intentional. But these people who have been in there for ages, this is why we need term limits. That could be a whole nother podcast, but regarding these two members of Congress, they both need to go. They both need to be removed from office, in the traditional manner. And if there's any real wrongdoing on any of these people, then charges need to be filed, and the appropriate the appropriate action should be taken, whether it's jail time or fines or whatever, or at the very least just removed from office, because we can't go down this path. We're going down the wrong path. We're going down the wrong path real fast, and I don't see any end in sight. And the only way to end this is to get them out of office. Well, anyway, that's about it. I just wanted to get this off, and we will talk to you next time. Have a good day. Let me put on my music. Okay, we will talk to you next time. Enjoy your weekend.